Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be Star Wars: The Last Jedi, number 2 would be Ferdinand, number 3 would be Coco, number 4 would be Justice League, and number 5 would be Wonder. And I only got 3 out of 5 of my predictions right, which is kind of odd because I thought this was going to be a little bit easy considering how slow last weekend kind of was, but some things actually kind of switched. But let's go over what the obvious number 1 was, which was Star Wars: The Last Jedi, making $220 million this weekend, which is, of course, the second highest opening weekend for a film domestically, right behind Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And on the worldwide chart, it is already sitting at $450 million. Now, they don't have the budget listed anywhere, but I'm just going to take into consideration that The Force Awakens had a budget of around $250, something like that, so I'm thinking maybe this movie had that kind of budget also, because I know they had like only $200 million for Rogue One, but The Last Jedi is the next installment of The Force Awakens, and Rogue One was more like side project kind of, so I'm just going to assume that The Last Jedi was more expensive. This is actually a really good start for this film, because considering how divisive the film was, I was expecting like, is it going to drop off like near like 205 opening weekend, but they actually only got like around like 20 million less than The Force Awakens, which is still really good. I think everyone just expected it to make that much money, but I just wasn't sure if it was going to suffer from the divisiveness that the reaction has served. Now, the divisive reaction could affect next weekend. I think a drop could be there if fans are actually going to stop turning up because they're hearing like, oh, it's terrible, and if they don't actually give it a chance. Or some people could be going out to see it again, because that's what a lot of people have been saying, like, do I need to see this again to just process it all? And I'm thinking one of the two will happen. I'm thinking maybe it could have a solid drop, but I wouldn't be surprised if it had a major drop, if you know what I mean. Number 2 was Ferdinand, which actually has the lowest opening weekend for a blue sky film, like, ever. And they've been around for like how long now? Since like the first Ice Age, I think. And this is their first one to only open at below 20 million. This movie had $13 million this weekend on a budget of $111 million. And you might be thinking, well, the worldwide numbers are helping it. Not so far. It only has $19 million in total worldwide. So you can say that Ferdinand is a pretty big flop right now, which I really was not expecting, considering Coco's been the only animated film out for a while, and I thought Ferdinand might be able to shake it up. So some people may not be able to see Star Wars, so some families might just go see Ferdinand. That wasn't the case so much. Maybe Ferdinand can hold up in the next coming weeks. Maybe it is because of Star Wars, and Ferdinand won't really have a drop next week or the week after, but this is very surprising to say the least. Number 3, however, is Coco, still holding on right out of the top 2, making $10 million, adding to a domestic total of $150 million. It's only $2 million away from outgrossing Cars 3, the other Pixar film to come out this year, so I'm very happy with that. I can't wait to see that happen. And on the worldwide chart, it actually already has outgrossed Cars 3, making $448 million. So I'm still happy that Coco is holding out strong, even with Ferdinand coming out. Maybe I was expecting Coco to drop a little bit below 10 million. Not so much. It's actually holding on quite great, so I'm proud of that. Number 4 is Wonder, making $5 million with a total of $109 million domestically, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $153 million. Now, this is the one prediction that I kind of got wrong, because I thought the number 5 film would be Wonder and number 4 would be Justice League, but it's actually the other way around. Justice League was number 5, only making $4 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $219 million. Now, the worldwide total still has it at $633 million. It's still technically the doubling point of the $300 million budget, but I think everyone just kind of already knows that this film needed a lot more. I think that's just common knowledge at this point, that this movie really needed to do gangbusters, and it did not do that for DC. That's why there was that shakeup that I told you about last weekend. So I was just really surprised to see that Wonder actually still had enough legs to beat Justice League for the number 4 spot. Number 6 is Daddy's Home 2, making $3 million, adding to a domestic total of $96 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $157 million. I'm wondering if next weekend, which, by the way, it's going to be Christmas Eve on Sunday, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get this box office talk to you guys on that day. I'm not even sure if I'll be able to give it to you the next day, because that's Christmas Day, you know? So if the episode doesn't come out, that's why it's Christmas. But anyways, getting back to Daddy's Home 2, I'm wondering if this movie will maybe get a boost because this is a Christmas-themed movie. Maybe this and Bad Moms Christmas, which is nowhere to be seen on the top 10, but maybe those two could get a boost because those are Christmas-themed. I'm not so sure about that, though, considering it's been out. Both of the movies have been out for a while, and I think some are kind of just over it. Number 7 is Thor Ragnarok, making $2.9 million, adding to a domestic total of $306 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $841 million, which is very good for this film. Pretty much the bottom 7 through 10 are movies that I really don't have much to add on to, because just like what else, they haven't really like done anything that major, you know what I mean? So, actually, you know what, I changed my mind. Number 8, The Disaster Artist. It made $2.6 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $12 million, and on the worldwide chart, it had a little bit of a boost, getting to $15 million. Now, the budget is $10 million, so they need $5 million more to double it, and it did expand this weekend. It actually did, and I didn't predict it to be in the top 5 again, but I thought for sure number 6, because it did open at number 4 last weekend, and to see it had kind of have this big of a drop considering the praise it's been getting, the awards consideration, and now just not too many people are going out to see it. Like, I was a little bummed to see this happen because it is a really good film, and it's a really good film to see even if you want to be inspired. Even if The Room is a crap film, you could still get inspired by the spirit behind it. And I was just a little bummed to see that this movie isn't really being seen as much as I would have wanted. Number 9 is Murder on the Orient Express, making $2.4 million, adding to a domestic total of $97 million. Only $3 million away from getting to $100 million domestically, but I don't think it's going to be here next weekend because we got a lot of new releases. But anyways, that adds to a worldwide total of $297 million. So it got pretty close to $300 million worldwide, and it probably will still get to that when it leaves the top 10, but it's just I won't be able to report on it. And closing out the top 10, we have Lady Bird making $2.1 million, with a domestic total of $25 million, which is doubled its $10 million budget, which is to be expected because this movie is like a critical darling right now. It just dropped to 99% after getting like, what, 200 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, which is incredible. I'm sure maybe more people will see it when the Oscars come around because this will definitely be nominated for stuff. So maybe it'll be back, but I'm not so sure about that yet. But now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's top 5. Number 1 is obviously going to be Star Wars The Last Jedi again. The only real concern about that is how much it'll make. I'm thinking maybe around $100 million still, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a big drastic drop considering the divisiveness. Number 2 I think will be Pitch Perfect 3 because Pitch Perfect 2 beat out Mad Frickin' Max Fury Road like 2 years ago, so I think that'll be big. But then number 3 I think will be Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle because that's a more kid-friendly action comedy film with Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart. Then I'm going to say number 4 is The Greatest Showman. I think some people might be taken in by the fact that it is a musical, a fun musical for the Christmas season. And then I'm going to say number 5 is Ferdinand. I think it might have a little bit of a chance to hold on strong. You might be wondering, Jackson, where's Downsizing? And I'm just not going to predict that'll make it on here. I honestly don't think that movie will make it on here. There's one other movie that I'm forgetting that some people might want. Father Figures. I don't think Father Figures or Downsizing will be able to make it into the top 5. So that's why they're not there. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave it in the comments below. And if you got your predictions right for this week, you're going to get a shout out right now. Unless you didn't get it right, then I'm sorry. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.